Hi everybody! Today we're going to make slime.
And all sorts of other fun red, white, and blue science experiments, right? Since what holiday's coming up?
4th of July.
And why do we celebrate 4th of July?
Because the people of forgot where they were from, but some people wanted freedom and they were free at July 4th.
That's right, the people who lived in America, they wanted freedom. And so on July 4th, they wrote the Declaration of Independence in what year?
July 4th, 1776?
Yes, very good, 1776. And then what happened was a year later, on July 4th, 1777, the people in Philadelphia said, we need to celebrate this. And do you remember how did they celebrate that just 1 year later?
They celebrated it,
Like what was part of their celebration?
fireworks, hot dogs, hamburgers, and food.
Yep, so lots of food, parades, they had fireworks.
Candy.
Yeah, so they made it a really big deal. And then every year, like I think in the next year, Virginia wrote about it in the paper. And pretty soon the whole country was celebrating July 4th. That it was America's birthday and a celebration of freedom because we have so much freedom here in America. And that's a big blessing, isn't it? So we're going to start with our paper here. And do you know what this is called?
It is called Great American Landmarks.
Well, I guess that's the title of our thing. But do you know what this is? We haven't gone over this. Do you know what this is called?
The green statue with a torch.
It's called the Statue of Liberty. So there's some special things about the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is in New York City, and it was actually a gift of friendship to the United States from France in 1886. So that was just like 110 years after the Declaration of Independence. Now, if you look, we are going to see there's some different parts of the Statue of Liberty. What is she holding up in her hand?
A torch?
Her right hand. She has a torch, and the torch stands for liberty and freedom. Now, her crown, count how many rays are on her crown.
7.
There are 7. What do you think of 7 when you think of the world?
7 continents.
That's right. We have 7 continents. What are those 7 continents?
North America, South America, Europe, Asia,
And you probably have to see.
Antarctica, and Australia.
And I think Africa was one you missed. But yeah, it's harder to do it without the map, isn't it? You do pretty good with the map. That's right. So those 7 points, 7 rays, actually represent the 7 continents. Now there's actually a staircase inside the Statue of Liberty.
What? There's a staircase. You can go inside her. She's hollow.
She is. She's hollow. So inside there are 354 steps.
How tall is she?
You know, honestly, I can't remember how tall
Probably
she
like
is.
1,000 feet.
But she's giant. I can tell you that. I'd have to look up exactly how tall she is.
She's
But
probably 1,000 times Goliath.
basically, people can they can look out up here.
And those are basically windows.
Right, so those are like windows like the size of people, just to give you a reference to how big she is. So the Statue of Liberty stands for freedom. Each year, millions of people visit New York to see her. Let's look inside to find more U.S. landmarks. We have a lot of cool things here in America. And here's the Liberty Bell. That's a big landmark, too. Oh, this one's a little bigger. You have to help me open it up. Here, can you pull it over here, honey? There we go. Yeah, this one's a little bit of a bigger one, and we've got a table full of science experiment stuff. Our nation's treasures. Let's take a trip to see our nation's famous landmarks. Some are natural and some are made by humans, but all are amazing sights to see. So here we have Mount Rushmore. Can you read to us about Mount Rushmore?
This mountain is South Dakota. The heads of 4 U presidents are carved into it.
That's right. The 4 U.S. presidents are, do you remember who they are? George
Washington.
Thomas
Jefferson.
Theodore.
Roosevelt.
And who's this last guy?
And Abraham Lincoln.
Very good. It took the sculptor 14 years to actually complete that project. Can you imagine? 14 years is a long time. That's like 2 of your lives. 7 plus 7. Whoa. Here we have the Golden Gate Bridge. Can you read to us about the Golden Gate Bridge?
This bridge is in California. It's almost 2 miles long. What's the length? It's the length of about 600 cars.
That's right. And it actually took over 4 years to build the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, California. The bridge was opened to traffic in 1937. About 40 million cars cross the bridge every year. That's a lot, isn't it? We have a big bridge here in Michigan. What's our bridge?
Something that starts with, I don't know, it's some sort of 8-mile bridge.
Well, I think it's about 5 miles. The Mackinac Bridge, right? That's our big bridge here. So here's the beautiful Niagara Falls. Can you read to us about the Niagara Falls?
These giant waterfalls on the border between New York and Canada.
And the water that flows over Niagara Falls each minute could actually fill 1 million bathtubs in just 1 minute. Is that crazy? That's a lot of water. So here we have a big, glorious rock carvings called the Grand Canyon. Can you read to us about the Grand Canyon?
This vast canyon is in
Arizona.
It was carved out of river over millions of years ago.
So it was carved a long, long time ago. And about 4 million people actually visit the Grand Canyon every year.
But it's expensive to go.
Well, not necessarily expensive to go. It's a long ways away, from us at least, here in Michigan. But that's beautiful, isn't it? Now let's flip over to the back. Oh, and a few more things about our Liberty Bell here, too. It's made of bronze and tin. It rang when the Continental Congress signed the Declaration of Independence on what day?
July 4th.
1776. That's right. July 4th, 1776 is when the Declaration was signed. And so it was, that was when it first rang. And the bell rang for the last time, actually, almost, well, not quite 100 years later, on February of 1846 for George Washington's birthday. And that's when it cracked. They used to bang it 13 times to represent the 13 different colonies. So here's a think big. So I want everyone to think about which of these U.S. landmarks would you like to visit and why? So while others are thinking, can you tell us?
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. And why do you pick Niagara Falls?
Honestly, I have no idea.
I think you like the water, right? So she really, really likes the water. So there's Niagara Falls. So this shows the whole country of the United States of America. There are 50 states. 48 are on this mainland. And then we also have Alaska and Hawaii. But Alaska is actually northwest of us, and Hawaii is just really far west of us, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
This is Texas, and you think that would be the biggest state, but actually Alaska's the biggest state.
Alaska's very large, isn't it? So we can kind of see all around the country where these different landmarks are. So here's the Golden Gate Bridge in California, which is very far west in the United States. If you go north, we have Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. And this area is called like the Midwest, which is where we live. Here's New York, which is where Niagara Falls is. And you can also be on the Canada side of it. Statue of Liberty in New York here. And then we have the Grand Canyon in Arizona. All sorts of cool places. So which landmark is in South Dakota? Look at your map here. Which one was in South Dakota?
either it's the Liberty, whatever you call it, the Bell.
Well, the
or
bell
Mount
says
Rushmore.
it's in Pennsylvania. But yes, Mount Rushmore is right. It's in South Dakota, Mount Rushmore. So which landmark is in the west of the United States? So you gotta look at the map. We have our north, south, east, and west. So which landmark is in the west?
The Golden Bridge.
That's right, the Golden Gate Bridge in California. So if we would go from the Grand Canyon all the way up to Mount Rushmore, what direction would we be going? That's right, we would be going north. Very nice, good job. So now we've completed our story here about the great American landmarks. We're going to move on to a few science experiments. And what we've been doing is we've been actually talking about the scientific method here. And here's this fun little boy over here. He's doing some science experiments himself. So the first step is to observe and ask questions. So one question we might ask is, what would happen if we mixed baking soda and vinegar? That's an interesting question. Now, form a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a guess of what you think might happen when you mix the baking soda and vinegar. Now, we've actually done this project many times, but it's interesting to guess. Would they just mix together like you're making, starting to make cookies? What would happen if those two were mixed together? Next, you're going to experiment and gather data. And many times you will experiment more than one time to see what the result would be. A lot of times 5 times is actually a good number. Then after you've gathered all that data and experimented multiple times, you're going to study that data. And as you can see, then you can reach a conclusion. So here we are today with Dr. A.R. from the Wolgemuth Laboratories. And we're going to do some experiments with baking soda, vinegar, and red dye, glitter, blue dye, all sorts of stuff. So, Dr. A.R., let's first talk about our supplies that we need. We'll just talk about the supplies we need for our very first project. So we're going to move our tray. And actually, that's the first one right here is a tray. You want a nice tray to make sure that the mess stays there, right? At Wolgemuth Laboratories, we like to stay neat. And then you also need, what else?
Beakers.
That's right, beakers. And then what did you pour in here?
Vinegar.
That's right, so she's got a container of vinegar. What did you put in this one?
Baking soda.
That's right, baking soda. And we're also going to use just a little bit of dye. Let's see if I can get this set up here. All right, so we've got all sorts of fun, different ingredients. There, I think that kind of gets you. There, I know it's hard to get the set up at the right way. Okay, so we've got all our ingredients. No, you're good standing up. So we've got vinegar and baking soda, but what we want to do is we want to experiment with amounts. So go ahead and I would take just the smallest spoon here. Maybe put 1, and I'm going to turn these so that people can see the clear side better. Maybe put 1 spoonful in here, 2 in there, 3 in there, and 4 in there. So we can kind of experiment with the different amounts of baking soda. So she's starting off with her baking soda. And we're putting different amounts of baking soda in each one. And while she's doing that, I'm going to get a couple of the dye colors ready. Good, so I think I got 1 scoop in every one. Good, and then we'll put 2 scoops in there. 2. Okay, so we got 3 scoops in that one. Maybe 2 scoops in that one. And then maybe this one, let's put 4 scoops in this one so we can really see what happens with the 4 scoops. And again, since we are celebrating 4th of July, we're actually going to do some different colors. So let's, in this larger one here, why don't you put 2 drops of the red dye. Oop, you got to take the lid off here.
Oh, I didn't know that was a lid.
Yeah. So we'll put 2 drops of red dye in there.
It looks
Good.
like pure blood.
It does a little bit. On this end one, we're going to put 2 drops of blue. And then we're going to put good. And then let's put just a little bit of glitter in this one. Not too much because we need the glitter for other projects. There we go. So now we're going to take some vinegar and see what happens with the different amounts of vinegar versus baking soda. So first just put maybe 1 dopper in each of your test tubes.
And it's going to explode.
Yep, so there's 1
Or not.
starting, well, it kind of did. Now I'll put 1 in the next one. Oh, those are about equal, weren't they? It looks like the one with more baking soda did actually bubble up a little bit more. All right, now let's put a dopper full in the glitter baking soda. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. 1 dopper in the... Oh, look at that. That actually went the highest. So let's think about that. Which one had the least amount of baking soda? Do you remember?
This one.
That's right, the blue one had the least amount. And which one actually bubbled up more?
The one with the least.
I know, isn't that interesting? So actually the least amount of baking soda actually bubbled up more. Now we're going to do another experiment. Why don't you take this and actually pour the vinegar into each one. And let's see if maybe the strength of pouring it. Whoa. Okay, pour into your next one. Whoa. Oh, here, yeah, let's move these out of the way because we still need those for other projects. All right, pour into the glitter one. And now pour into your blue one. Whoa! That's pretty cool, huh? But it did, even when you put more vinegar in, which one seemed like it actually bubbled up the most?
This one.
Yeah, so it seemed like actually a smaller amount of baking soda actually reacted to the vinegar more than a larger amount.
It's pretty.
It is pretty. I know, it's kind of a fun experiment. It's fun to do with different colors or with different kinds of glitter and stuff like that. It is. It's a really
Reminds
fun
me of,
experiment.
like coral in the sea that has all the little bubbles in it.
Yeah. So the reaction between the vinegar and baking soda is a chemical.
It turned darker.
It did. It's a chemical reaction. The acid, the vinegar is an acid. And what else has acid that we've talked about? Because I tell you, don't eat too much of this. It has acid in it.
Oranges?
That's right, because it has citric acid. So the vinegar is acid, and you mix it with the base, which is the baking soda. When the two mix, the chemical reaction takes place that produces all that fizzing and bubbling. And they actually create a gas. Remember how we talked about the different states of matter? We have liquid, solid, and gas. That's right. So we have the liquid, solid, and the gas that this creates is called carbon dioxide. Very cool. Thank you, Dr. AR. We actually have another experiment we're going to do. That's kind of a craft and an experiment all in one. So for this one, we're going to make a fun little glitter jar. We actually happen to have this cute little bear jar that we want to use. Now, you all might want to use plastic, but we've kind of used glass around our house a lot, so Alexis is very used to glass. So for this project, hold on, not quite yet. We need our glass base. You will need glitter.
Obviously.
We have red and blue glitter, and then we also have, this one's kind of neat. It's got actually all three 4th of July colors all in one. You can't quite see it, I guess, but it's silver and red and blue all in one. Then tell us what's in that jar right there.
Beads and sequins.
We decided, beads and sequins might be kind of fun. Glycerin is what's going to actually help keep it all together, or to keep it so it doesn't like just float at the top. You need just a little bit of dish soap, just a few drops, and some warm water. So can you grab that jar of warm water? And we're going to start mixing. So what you're going to do first is I would say pour about half of the glitter into your jar. Good. Oops, I guess it's a little more than half. That's okay. So we probably maybe not need to use these ones. We'll see. We might not need to use those. Go ahead and pour in your sequins and your star beads.
A little more.
Move the tray out of the way. Good. And then you're going to pour just a little bit of warm water in it. Not a lot, but just enough so that it kind of gets in the bottom a little bit. Oh, yep, and you can use one of your funnels. That's good. So just enough. Oops, maybe a little bit more. You want to cover it, kind of like you're making your oatmeal. There, that's good. Yep, that's good. Now give it just a little shake. Not too much, but just a little shake. You can kind of see how it's reacting. Now, you're going to want to squeeze to right about his neck with glycerin. And the glycerin, yeah, it's nice and thick, so it really helps. That's what's going to help keep all the objects in there floating around. So glitter jars are a fun project. And there's a way that we can kind of represent with all these fun things in here. Look at all those fun things swirling around. Very nice. So now you can kind of see how before with the water it tended to kind of float down. And this kind of helps keep it suspended a little bit. So maybe let's put maybe just a little bit more water in there. And you kind of want like a warmer water. Okay, that's probably good. And let's put a little more, maybe glycerin to the bear's eyes.
That would not be good for your eyes.
No, well, actually, glycerin is actually okay. It's actually good for your hair and your skin. We've actually used that in body products. Good, like that's probably about good right there. Maybe even, you know what, let's go ahead and fill it up with the glycerin. We've got extra glycerin. So we're going to try ours. That's good. We're going to try ours with extra glycerin. And one experiment you can do is actually to add different amounts of glycerin and stuff. Now this I'm going to put in because you only want just a couple drops, and sometimes it's hard to get just a couple drops of soap. Okay, now you want to put the lid on really, really tight.
Do it as tight as possible.
Super tight. And then once you figure out it's how you want it, you can actually glue your lid.
What about some dye in it?
Make sure. Well, this one we're kind of dye. You could put dye in it, but this one we kind of want it. If it had dye in it, you would not be able to see. So shake it up really, really well. You wouldn't be able to see all the different colors and things in it if you had dye in it. But sometimes dye would be a nice. Ooh. So that turned out really nice, didn't it? I feel like you probably have a little more room just to put even a little more glycerin in.
I think we have enough glycerin there.
You want to just put a little more water in then? To fill it to the top, or do you like it just like that?
Oh.
So I want you to kind of just, instead of shaking it now that it is pretty mixed well, I just want you to slowly kind of turn it back and forth and watch everything float around. And I'm going to read to you some fun ideas about the glitter jar. So sometimes we have really big feelings, don't we? Like anger, sadness, and your mind might feel all swirly and mixed up because you're angry, confused, sad. But when you have these feelings, you could take what's called a mindfulness break. Have you heard of that before? No. So the glitter jar is something nice for a mindfulness break. So you can breathe in, breathe out. We've talked about that, haven't we? And take a minute and pretend like all of this stuff inside is your feelings. So you can watch your feelings are all shaken up. You're all angry. You're all upset. Watch how angry it is. But then watch how when you take a deep breath and just settle down, watch how all the objects also calm down. And just like your feelings, these objects will also calm down. You can just keep watching and keep breathing. And as you watch the glitter, it can kind of help you calm down, doesn't it? It is. It's like very relaxing just to watch kind of the glitter flowing around. And we don't really want our feelings to disappear because they're part of us, aren't they? Right? So the feelings in our jar never quite disappear. But we just know we've learned how to control them. Isn't that cool? Now for our last experiment. Oh, you know what? Something else I read too, because this is actually our first time making one of these, is if you take your finger and kind of stir it around. Sometimes you have to kind of stir it up a little with your finger. Yep, it's okay if you get your finger a little bit. Because that kind, there you go. Somehow it kind of gets a pocket up there. There, see, and it'll go down. Now you can move your finger out. I'll put just a little bit more glycerin. And then let's try putting this back on. And then you can use that, right? All through July and beyond. And you can make sorts of, this can be in so many combinations, can't it? So many colors and everything else.
And another experiment that we're going to do is this.
All right, Dr. A, you take over, and then we'll make our slime after that.
So now, so right here we have blue.
Let's move it back just a little bit so we can see it
We
there.
have blue water, and now we're gonna put some red in, and then you start guessing what color it's gonna turn to.
Oop, just one drop, because, yeah. Ooh, you can kind of see, isn't that pretty?
You don't want to stir it.
Yeah, you can use one of your spoons if you want to. Do you have your little, oh, here, let me grab your spoon. Or here, just use a knife to stir it. Well, you can kind of see the colors forming. Ooh, what color did it turn?
Purple.
Yep, a little more of a reddish purple, because I think with the 2 drops it made it a little more red. But, yeah, very beautiful. So there we go. We have the red and blue primary colors mixed together make purple.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready to make some slime? Yeah? All right. So for the slime, we need, can you grab this? You need this one with hot water. We need our glitter, and we need our glue. So we have the school glue. Now we're actually going to make a half recipe because we did not have the half cup of glue. We actually have a 1/4 cup of glue. Yep, so you can kind of squeeze that out. Go ahead, you can go ahead and squeeze that out while I grab you a bowl. So squeeze the rest of that out. And as you can see, this is a 1/2 cup measure, and it only about fills it up halfway. So what is 1/2 of a half? Do you remember?
1 cup.
Well, there's a 1/2 cup, and if you take half of that, it is only, look on here, you can see. So here's our 1 cup, half of the cup. If we take half of the half, what is it? See, it shows you right there on the measuring cup. What's half of the half? Whoops. You see?
No.
1/4. 1/4. So here's your bowl. We're going to start measuring. So I want you to try to get this into the bowl as much as you can. Here, let's put it back here so that people can see. There we go. So try to get, it's going to be a little hard scooping that out. And if you want to, do you want to roll your sleeves up for this?
No.
Because you're going to need to use your hands to mix it together. So you're actually going to need to dissolve the warm water in 1 bowl, or let's see, how much water? So 1/4 cup of water mixed with that. Well, I guess if you want to start with the knife stirring. So use your knife to kind of scrape out the rest of that glue.
How do you get it off? Here, it's off.
There. You might want to use the knife to scrape out, because you do want as much glue as you can to make it work. I'm actually going to pour 1/4 cup into here. Scrape out all that glue. And now this is my first time actually ever making slime. Alexis made some slime at some sort of a kids camp somewhere, but I've actually never made slime before. Good. So now what we're going to do, yeah, but right now it's just the glue. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, so this is a 1/4 cup of warm water in here. So go ahead and pour your 1/4 cup in. 1/4 cup of warm water, 1/4 cup of glue. Or if you're doing a full batch, it would be 1/2 cup of water with 1/2 cup of glue. And just keep mixing that together. All right, and for the remaining, we still have 1 more 1/4 cup still in our measuring cup. For the remaining part, you're going to actually add in the borax. So you do 1/2 teaspoon of borax. Let me grab, so you keep stirring that up. I'll grab the 1/2 teaspoon. Good, that's actually coming together pretty well. So now you're gonna get half a teaspoon of borax and put it in this water. And you wanna, yep, level it off a little bit. Good, yep, kind of scrape it. Very nice. Good, and then mix it into here. So I'll give you a second knife for mixing. So mix that together. So you have 2 separate containers, one with a 1/4 cup and a 1/2 teaspoon, and one with a 1/4 cup glue, and you kind of want to use warm water too. Now you're going to slowly pour the borax water mixture into the glue water mixture, but not all of it. Maybe start with half of it. And then just kind of keep stirring it. And it's going to seem stringy and clumpy, but that's okay. So kind of keep mixing it together. You're going to spend actually a few minutes kneading that mixture together. And you might have leftovers of this that we don't need, and that's okay. All right. Yep, so it looks like it's kind of getting stringy, isn't it? So you're going to keep stirring it. And as she stirs it, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a explanation on how all this stuff works. Because slime also involves, oh, see, you can tell it's getting stringy. That's what you want. You have to keep mixing it till it keeps getting more and more stringy like that, yeah? Keep mixing. Very good. You
can put some dye in it to give it a color.
Yeah. So you have to mix it up first, and then you add in the glitter and the dye and things. Yep, so you get it mixed up. So slime is also involving chemistry. We've done a lot with chemistry today. And chemistry is all about the states of matter. What are the 3 states of matter? Liquid.
Liquid, solid, and gas.
That's right, liquid, solid, and gas. It's all about the way different materials are put together and how they're made of atoms and molecules. Additionally, chemistry is how these materials act under different conditions. Like water, for instance, liquid. In different conditions, it changes. When water gets really, really, really freezing cold, what happens?
It freezes.
And turns to?
Ice.
But what happens when water gets really, really, really hot?
Then...
And it boils. What does it create?
Steam.
It creates steam, that is a gas. So these different materials will act under different conditions. Ooh, it's looking really good. You just want to keep trying to mix it up just a little bit more and a little more.
It's
still
too much liquid in it.
Well, we follow the directions of it, but it could be that. Well, I think you got most of the glue out of there. Just keep stirring. You'll do great. I think it says it takes a few minutes of stirring to create it. And if anything else, we can pull out the part. So slime is called a non-Newtonian fluid because it's neither a liquid or a solid. Because do you notice it's like liquid and solid kind of combined? So it can be picked up like a solid, but then it oozes like a liquid. And slime does not have its own shape. It just it keeps whatever shape that you put it in. Or it can be bounced like a ball. So you pull the slime slowly and move freely. And if you pull it quickly, it breaks off. Oh, and there's the Zonners are here watching. They lost track of time. That's okay. It's easy to do, isn't it? The only reason why we remember is that we have an alarm set on the phone that warns us. Oh, and Muriel and Miss Angela are watching. Yes, we did lots of fun experiments earlier. You'll have to go back and watch them. We're on our last one now, the slime. But it looks like our slime's a little bit liquidy, so I think we might pull out the slime portion of it. All right, you want to pull it out? So let's get another container. All right, go ahead and pull out the glue part of it and put it in here. Because this has all been a big experiment. You want to try putting more borax in? You can. Go ahead. You want to try putting borax in and see what happens? Because that's what this is all about, is just experimenting. All right, try stirring that in now. Let's see what happens. So and that's part of the thing with experiments, right? Is we're guessing, like our hypothesis was that this would create slime, but it looks like it's kind of liquidy, doesn't it? And if that doesn't seem like it mixes up, you can just pull out the part that feels like slime and put it into here, and we'll mix that separately and add the glitter in. Very good. Yes, so we're here with Dr. A.R. from Wohlgemuth Laboratories, leading all our experiments. Look at that. There you go. Yep. So why don't you just pull out the pieces that look like that. We'll add maybe a little more borax and liquid, or I'm sorry, borax and glitter. Definitely no more liquid. There. Yep. See, that's kind of looking like slime, right? Any more? Is there any more in there?
Not really.
Nope. Okay, so we'll save that part. Oh, there's a few more. Why don't you get these last little chunks of the slime in there and add it to your other bowl, and then maybe add a little borax to here. Yeah, so you're finding some. So we talked some about different ways that we celebrate 4th of July, and in fact, most of the way we celebrate, and even now, is how they celebrated the very first one, and when they celebrated a year later in 1776. So even though I know 4th of July looks a little bit different this year, I'm wondering what you guys are going to do to celebrate 4th of July. And Alexis, can you tell? Oh, see, now that looks a lot more like slime. Yes. That is looking much better now.
It is a hot dog.
All right, so now you want to take your 4th of July glitter. Take the rest of your 4th of July glitter and add it to there. But yeah, we're trying to still do some fun 4th of July stuff. We actually bought some red and blue Jell-O to make 4th of July Jell-O. We're going to make 4th of July pancakes with raspberries, blueberries, and powdered sugar. We have another fun tradition that we do that is called, that we do 4th of July nails. So we're still trying to celebrate. And, ooh, that looks good. That is definitely slime. So I'm not sure.
It needs some color.
Yeah, so pick what color would you like. Or do you want to keep it with the white so you can see the glitter in it? No? Okay, we'll put just a little bit. Just one drop. Whoop. All right, we'll try that. Yep. Mix that in and see. Ooh, that's pretty. But that definitely looks a lot more like, ooh, that does look pretty.
I think you need just like a little bit of blue.
Okay, try a little bit of blue, and then maybe you can put just a little more borax in there to like thicken it up a bit. Just one drop though. There you go. Because this little goes a long way with food coloring. Ooh. Pretty. Oh, look how pretty that looks. I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you can see how pretty it is. And you don't want to overmix it too much, because what happens when you mix the blue and the red together?
It turns to purple.
It turns to purple. But here, look, isn't that pretty? The red, white, and blue. Maybe you put just a little sprinkle of borax in. So it looks like the Zonners are going to their grandparents' house and lighting sparklers. Ooh, sparklers are one of my favorites. We actually have some sparklers left over from last year we're going to use. It does kind of look like an organ. Definitely looks like it came from inside a body. Ooh, look how pretty that turned out. Wow. There we have some beautiful 4th of July
and it
slime.
doesn't get your hands too messy.
Well, yeah, it might get your hands a little messy, but that's okay. It's 4th of July. You'll end up with red, white, and blue hands, right? Wow. Well, Dr. Wohlgemuth, thank you. I'm sorry, Dr. A.R. from Wohlgemuth Laboratories. Thank you for sharing your experiments with us, and we hope you all had fun. Happy 4th of July!